Alright guys, today we're going to start a new project, a new sketching project, and today we're going to do something called a one-point perspective drawing. I like to call it single point vanishing perspective drawing, but you guys can call it whatever you want, I guess. It's a pretty fun project to do. So for this, you are going to need a ruler. I have right here just a 6-inch ruler. You are actually going to need a full 12-inch ruler. My paper is a little small because this is all that fits on the camera, so I cut my paper a little, but you're going to be using a full sheet of white paper. You're going to need a pencil, and most of all, you're going to need an eraser, so make sure you have a pencil with an eraser. And make sure you don't draw your lines too dark. We learned that in the last lesson. Don't draw them too dark so we can erase it. So, what's a single point perspective drawing? Well, pretty much a single point perspective drawing is a real life drawing. So, you might see pictures of like buildings, or you might draw pictures of buildings, or you might look at your sketch that we drew the other day, your isometric sketch, and you might look at it and be like, hey, it's kind of a building, right? But really, when we're looking at stuff in real life, that's not what it looks like. At least not in real life. That's not what buildings look like, because it depends on where we're standing and how we're looking at them that they look differently. So, for example, if I had a building that was close to me, it would look bigger. If I had a building that was far, far away from me, it would look smaller because it's far away. You can't see that far. And that's pretty much what this is. So in this sketch, sketching practice, we're going to go ahead and make a one-point perspective vanishing point drawing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and first write my name on the bottom right-hand side of my paper. Always important, just in case you leave it behind. You don't want to lose your work. It will be collected, so... All right, and I'm going to go ahead and start on the right side of my paper over here. I'm going to zoom in just so you can see. On the left side. On the left side, I'm going to start kind of in the corner, but I'm not going to be entirely in the corner. I'm going to be right here, and I'm going to draw a little plus sign. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Let me see if I can zoom in anymore. That's as far as I can zoom in. A little plus sign. Doesn't have to be too big. Just give it a little plus sign over here. Okay, we're going to call this our starting point. Okay, or our station point. So I'm going to go ahead and write station point. That's what it's actually called. I like to call it the starting point because obviously we started there. We're going to. And now, go ahead and take my paper, and all the way over here on the top right side of the paper, I'm going to put another plus sign. Let me move my paper over so you can see it. There it is. There's the corner. And I'll put another plus sign kind of by the corner. And I'm going to call this my vanishing point. Alright, this is where everything goes to vanishing point. Alright, now if I zoom out, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Here's my station point. Here's my vanishing point. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make like, I don't know, I guess we can call it a row of buildings or a train. I don't know. We'll decide what it looks like in a bit. So let's first start off with the station point. The station point, this plus sign right here that I drew, it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a cube. I'm going to draw a square. Sorry, not a cube, a square. All right, so let's go ahead and draw a square. Now try to be as exact as you can. Let's do this. Let me see. This is 14. Let's make the square. I don't know, how big should it be in real life? Remember, my paper's smaller, so let's make it 2 inches by 2 inches. All right, so you're going to measure yours 2 inches by 2 inches. I'm not going to measure mine 2 inches by 2 inches because I have a smaller piece of paper than you. But I'm going to try to draw it as straight as I can, straight up and down, and straight side to side so that it looks like a good square. So remember, you're making yours 2 inches by 2 inches. I'm making mine 1 inch by 1 inch because I am using smaller paper. All right. All right, there's my square. So yours should be 2 inches by 2 inches. And hopefully it looks kind of like mine. There's my station point. And my vanishing point is up here. Okay, so now that we got that taken care of, it's beautiful. Hopefully you got your square. Now, a single point perspective is, like I said, it's real life. So just like in the isometric drawing we drew the other day, you can't see through this building or this train or whatever you want to call it. You don't see through trains and you don't see through buildings really. So you're not going to be able to see through this. So it's very important that every corner of this shape right here has to make it to the vanishing point. Oh man, I just realized my ruler is not going to be big enough. Okay, so I'm going to have to get a new ruler. But what I want you to notice is that every single corner is going to go to the vanishing point. But there's going to be a problem. See, if I make this corner go to the vanishing point, that's awesome. This corner, that's awesome. This bottom right corner, awesome. But if I go to this corner, if I make it go to the vanishing point, you'll notice I'm going to draw a line right across this square. Now, that line should not be able to be seen if you are actually looking at something realistic. So that line we're not going to draw to the vanishing point. All right, I found myself a ruler here. Now, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't have a real 12-inch ruler here, so I just go ahead and I'm going to use this piece of paper. It's cardstock. It's a little bit thicker. And I'm going to go ahead and use this as my ruler. Remember, the only thing I really care about is if it's straight. As far as measurements go, I already measured my cube, and you should have too. It's 2 by 2. Everything else we don't have to measure, so we should be good on that. I just need the straight edge, and that's what I'm going to use. Okay, hopefully you have a ruler where you're at doing this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and connect my 3 corners to the vanishing point. It's very important that you line up your ruler first to the vanishing point. And make sure it's connected over here on your station point square and the vanishing point. The better you do this, the better it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my square. Oh man, this is why I wish I had a real ruler. Come on, work. Alright, there's my first line. I did my bottom right one. I'm going to do this top right one. Going to do the corner to the vanishing point. Alright, push your ruler down so it doesn't get all loose on you and move while you're drawing. I always like to spread my fingers out like this so that I have a good grip on the ruler. Alright, there you go, and that's what you should have. Remember, you don't do this back one because it's going to be like see-through, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, now, I'm going to zoom in a little right here. So, vanishing point, single point perspective. Now, if you remember yesterday or the other day when we did the isometric drawing, we had 3 different kinds of lines. 3. Whoa, that zoomed in a lot. So I had my height, I had my width, and I had my depth. Those are the only 3 lines you could draw here. Now that was a little easier because you had a template and everything. But here you don't have a template. It's just a white piece of paper. But I got good news. Instead of 3 lines, we're only going to use 2 lines. And these 2 lines are exactly the same. And I say that because it should be really, really easy. But for some weird reason, it's one of the hardest things. I really do think, I don't know the science behind this, but I think our mind tries to trick us. And I'll tell you what my theory is on why our mind tries to trick us. Now I'm going to go back to my little ruler over here because I actually don't need the long one anymore. But if you look carefully, if I zoom out, you'll notice that in your drawing, you have a square and you have 2 very long triangles. See this one on top? That's a triangle. See? 1, 2, 3 sides. Even though they're really long, it's a triangle. Weird looking one. And right here on the bottom, you have also another triangle. Now, I'm done with this side right here. By the way, this is the side of the building, not the front. This is the side. The front's going to be over here, and this is going to be the top. But all I have to do is draw lines in these triangles. That's all I have to do. And it's even easier than that. Let's start with this bottom triangle down here. In this bottom triangle, all I have to do is draw lines that are completely vertical. That means up and down, straight up and down, 90 degrees. Just like this one right here. Every line you draw in this whole triangle should just be going up and down. That's it. Up and down, up and down, up and down. How easy is that? That's super easy. You're saying, hey, Mr. Sanchez, thank you for making this lesson easy. Oh, for some reason, it's not going to be that easy. Honestly, I think our mind tries to play tricks on us. What you're going to notice is your first line is going to be pretty straight, up and down. Then your next line is going to be, pretty straight, up and down. And little by little, the more you go down, you'll notice your ruler will start to do this. It's no longer going to be up and down. Okay, look at my pencil. That's going straight up and down. Look at this ruler. Not even close. And the reason I think it does this is because I think our mind's trying to fix this drawing because it's not used to seeing things like this. And I think it's trying to make this line and this other line we draw perpendicular, which means it's going to meet at a right angle. That's what I think it's trying to do. But the problem is if you draw this line right here, and it should be straight up and down going this way, and you draw this one, it's going to look like this building or this train is like a cartoon like in Scooby-Doo or something. It's going to look like it's collapsing. It's not going to look good. All right? So what I want you to do, I'm going to teach you a little method, is draw all vertical lines here, and you got to keep watching your ruler to make sure that it's completely straight up and down and not crooked like this. And I know what you're thinking, oh, come on, Mr. Sanchez, I'm not going to do that. What am I, some kind of dummy? I'm not saying you're a dummy, but it's your mind. I don't know. I do it too. It's okay if you don't watch out. If you go too fast and don't make sure your ruler's straight, it's going to start to turn like this. And by the time you get all the way to the top, it's going to be completely sideways, and you're going to be like, how did that happen? All right? So once again, to recap, in this bottom triangle, you're only going to draw lines going straight up and down. That's it. How easy is that? All right, now the top triangle. Okay? On the top triangle, if the bottom triangle, we draw lines straight up and down like this one, the top triangle, we're going to draw lines that are completely horizontal, just like this one right here. All the lines right here should be completely horizontal. Same thing though. Make sure you check it with your ruler, because if you don't, eventually your ruler is going to start to move like this, and you're going to be drawing lines that are way too off. So once again, to recap, every line in this triangle should be straight up and down, vertical. And every line in this top section triangle should be horizontal, completely horizontal. All right, so let's go and get started and draw our first vertical line down here at the bottom. I always like to start with the vertical line. I don't know why. Made a little mark here. I'm going to erase it. Okay, so I don't know. I'm going to measure about that much. Now, if you notice, I can tell right here, you don't have to be on the line, but I can tell that this is pretty even, which means that whatever line I draw right here is going to be parallel to that one. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line right there. Make sure your ruler's straight up and down like mine is. And there's my first part. Now this is I'm going to just say they're buildings. You can say they're trains or whatever you want. This is the left side of the train. Sorry, building. This is the front of the building. This is going to be the roof of the building. However, I'm missing this line right here. Please don't draw this line freehand, okay? So can everyone see the front right here? All right, now in this section, top triangle, the line should be what? Horizontal. So I'm going to I always double check. I always go to the first line, and then I make sure that it's pretty close. All right, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line. Now, ignore this stuff over here. That looks like a good building. Here's the left side wall. Here's the front of the building. And here's the top of the building, the roof. Okay, door right here. It says Apple Store, something, I don't know. All right, so if you can tell, here's your first building. Congratulations, you did a good job. This is not the hard part, though. The hard part is going to keep it going all the way down the line over here. Now, the next part is important. This step is going to repeat over and over and over again, but I'm not done with all the steps yet. All right? It's very important because people like to draw a bunch of buildings here, but if you think about it, buildings aren't stuck up next to each other. There's spaces in between them. I like to call those alleys. All right? So think about it. Here's the front of the building, the Apple Store, whatever you want to call it. And let's say next door is Target. I don't know. I've never seen an Apple Store next to Target, but I'm just going to say that. So we have Apple right here. We have Target over here. Now, in between them should be a space, an alley. They're not sharing a wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another vertical line going up and down right here. But I'm going to draw it so it's just a little bit smaller, or smaller than this one, because this is a whole building. I just want a little alley right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a line right there. And that's my alley. So building, alley. And this is the start of my new building. All right, so I'm going to continue up here, and I'm going to draw another horizontal line up here. Please make sure it's lined up with your other lines. I have a see-through ruler, so I can tell it's pretty good. All right, so building, alley. Top of the building, top of the alley. Does that make sense? Now, the alley doesn't really look right. We're going to come back to that in a second. But I want to focus on this new building, okay? This is Apple Store, this is Target. So this is the front of the Target. Here's the left wall of the front. I need a right wall for the front. So once again, I'm going to check my ruler, make sure everything's parallel. For some reason, I'm going to make the Target a smaller building than the Apple Store. Or maybe it's going to be the same size. Yeah, it looks about the same size. So I'm going to make a line straight up and down. And of course on here, I'm going to make a horizontal line. I'm going to check my ruler first. Make sure it's pretty parallel. Let me look at it. Don't be afraid to look before you draw. Once you draw, it's almost too late because if you draw too dark, it's gone. Okay, so here we go. So here's Target. So once again, starting out here, here's Apple. Here's an alleyway. And here's Target. Now here's the front of Target. Here's the top of Target, the roof. But if you think about it, here's the left side wall of Apple. And Target doesn't really have a left side wall. Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh? So we have to draw the left side wall here. Now, most of the wall is going to be covered up by the Apple Store because it's the way you're looking at it. You don't get to see the whole alley. But remember how I told you you only draw vertical lines in this box and you only draw horizontal lines in that box? Well, it's not really a lie, but it's more like a little, temporary fib, I guess. We're actually going to have to draw the wall right here. Now, if you think about it, look at the Apple Store wall. You have this horizontal line and the vertical line. And that's what we have over here at Target, too. Horizontal line, vertical line. But over here in the Apple Store, we have another vertical line and another horizontal line. Here, we don't have either. So I got to go ahead and make that. In this corner right here, let me zoom in as much as I can. In this top left corner of the Target, I am going to go ahead and draw a small line going straight up and down. Remember, you're only drawing two different kinds of lines here. Straight up and down and straight sideways, horizontal. Now, I stopped right here because remember, my building is not see-through. So I'm going to stop right there, and that should be fine. And then I'm going to make another line right here on the bottom to represent the floor. And that line, of course, has to be perfectly horizontal. Now, if you notice, let me zoom back out so you can get a better perspective. Now you can kind of see the left side wall of the Target, or whatever you drew there. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's this line going through the wall, Mr. Sanchez? Well, that line's not supposed to be there. All right? And actually, I'm going to erase that right now. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to erase it right now. I'm going to show you what to erase. After you draw your alleyway and you draw the left side wall of your next building, you'll notice there's 3 lines that should not be there anymore. These are lines you're going to have to erase. I'm going to go ahead and draw X's on them. The first one is the most obvious one. It's right here. This line right here should not be there. You're going to have to erase that. Be really careful because it's really small. The next one is right here. See this line right here? This is leading up to the alley. That line should not be there. And this line is the top of the alley, should not be there anymore. So those 3 lines you got to erase. Let me try to erase them right now and see how good it looks. Because once you erase them, it's like a brand new picture. You're like, wow, that looks pretty good. This one's the hardest to get because it's in a weird location. You know what? I'm just going to erase the whole thing and then I'm going to draw these lines. Don't try to do a freehand. It's hard to draw straight lines. All right, how does that look? That should look a lot better. So here we have our first building, and the alleyway is now clear, and we have our second building. All right, how's that look? Pretty good. Hopefully you think it looks good on yours too. Hopefully your ruler does not start getting all Scooby-Doo and going sideways. Remember, up and down, horizontal. We're only drawing 2 kinds of lines, up and down, vertical, and side to side, horizontal. Those are the only 2 lines we ever draw on here after we draw all our lines going to the vanishing point. Now, I know what you're thinking. We still have a lot of space left, Mr. Sanchez. What are we going to do with that? Pretty much, we're going to do the same thing we already did. We just repeat the process all over again. So remember, here's my target, and after the target is another building. But before that, there is a space, an alley. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the space. All right, I'm going to draw it right here. All right, ready? Oh, I'm just kidding. I hope you noticed that. If you didn't notice, take a look. See what you're thinking. All right, what do you think? All right, hopefully you notice that my ruler is not straight. It's not up and down. Look at this line right here. Look at my ruler line. It's nowhere close to being straight. And this is the trick your mind plays on you. So you have to always be careful with it. All right? So this time I really am going to check. I'm going to make this a bigger alleyway. We need to make one for cars to get through. All right, so here's how big my alleyway is going to be. I'm going to go ahead and draw a perfectly vertical line. Oh, I drew that really dark. I'll zoom in a little. All right, so here we go. Building, alley. So I'm going to draw another line right here to represent the top of the alley. And here's my new building. I don't know. We'll make it a Walmart. No, Walmart doesn't sound good. Let me see. What can we make? You can't put a Walmart next to a Target. They would never allow that. We'll make it a hair salon. How about that? So people could get their hair done. All right, here we go. So we're gonna make a hair salon over here. All right, so here we go. Let's recap. Here we go. Building, alley, building, big alley, and building. We have the front of the building, the beauty shop. Well, not beauty shop. Sorry, hair salon. I guess it could be a beauty shop. And the top, the roof of the hair salon. And now we are missing the left-hand wall. So remember, we need to go to the top left corner of that and draw a line going straight down. That ends right there. And we need to go this part right here, the bottom right section, and draw a line that goes straight horizontal. There we go. And remember, 3 lines are going to go away. This bottom alley line that goes up into the alley. See you later. This top alley line. See you later. And this line right here on the left side of your building. I don't know. What do you think? You think that looks pretty good? I think it looks good so far. The row of buildings. Now, as you go on and get all the way down, you'll notice it's going to start to get smaller and smaller and smaller. I wouldn't say that it's going to get harder. I just am going to say that you're going to have to be a lot more careful. And please, I know what you're thinking. Oh, the line's really small. It doesn't matter if my ruler's off a little bit. No, you'll actually notice a lot more when it's smaller for some reason. So make sure your lines in the bottom triangle are all vertical, and your lines on the top triangle are all horizontal. You're going to keep this going all the way down, and I want to see how far you can get before you have to stop. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw a little more of this, and I'm going to go ahead and maybe trace it over with a pen, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done with it. And I erased all the lines. Okay, well, this is what my final product looks like. I traced it over with pen. That's why some of them might not look so straight. I tried to freehand it. Probably should have done it with a ruler, but I was trying to get it done pretty quick before I had it finished. So, as you notice, I erased all the lines. There's 3 lines in between every building. I got a few smudges over here of the pen when I tried to erase it before it dried. One thing I kind of don't like is I made these buildings down here at the end way too long. Even though they're shorter than this building right here, because they're farther away, they look really long, and that doesn't make any sense. But hopefully you'll realize that it does look like a row of buildings if you're looking at them, like if you're on the corner right here, or like in another building or a helicopter or something, and you're looking down, you can start to see them eventually fade to nothing. Okay, and you can also kind of see maybe how this might look like a long train with all the carts on it, and how that looks smaller as you look down the line. Okay, and that's a single point perspective drawing. Later we'll learn how to do a double point perspective drawing, or a 2-point perspective drawing. So I hope you guys had fun with it. Please make sure that you erase those 3 lines. It's very important to add the illusion that it is 3-dimensional. And I hope you guys did well, and I'll see you in class.